But I'd dare to say like I like the three piece a little bit more.
Yeah, it's fun. Like for the bass player, I think you get to do a lot more. And will you, for the next Davey record, you hopefully will you guys probably jam stuff out? You might start collabing maybe and writing some stuff together.
Yeah, I hope so. I think so. Yeah, we'd started writing a few things prior to this record that came out, but just none of those tunes seemed to make the record. Um, and he did a lot of writing with the producer Eric, which was cool, and the songs are really good. I mean, I really love the record a lot, and it was really fun to play on it. It was
Mm.
an experience because we really worked hard. I think we did basic tracks in 4 days. It was crazy fast.
And did
And
you have a lot of tunes to learn when you joined the band? Like, because Davey has a load of albums. Is it the
yeah,
case
yeah.
like you need to know his entire back catalog, or you're kind of working on the new stuff at the gigs?
Um, it was both. It was yeah. Like I had to learn a lot of songs right out of the gate for sure. And well, I was gonna tell a story, and it's funny because like he doesn't like to rehearse a whole lot.
Good man,
So
my kind of
yeah,
man.
and which is cool because I mean Steepwater didn't rehearse either, but when we did rehearse, we did like
Mm.
we pounded tunes into the ground until we
Yeah.
got them, and then it was like okay, then we never need to rehearse again. Like
Mm.
once we got the tunes down, you go play them live, and then they take a whole new direction live, or that's the rehearsing, that's the playing the songs through.
Mm.
But when I joined Davey's group, we got together and it was like okay. Play the song like twice. I'm like, man, I could love going through that tune like four more times just so it's like crammed in my head a little bit
Mm.
more. But you just kind of have to roll with stuff how different
Yeah.
people work.
Becomes more organic then, like the band, you can kind of you get to gel with each other. And I think what's that Vulpec? They're kind of obsessed with not over practicing. He won't
Who?
ever show them Vulpec,
Oh,
that kind
okay.
of funk band.
Uh-huh.
So when
Uh-huh.
they record, he doesn't let them hear the songs at all before the studio, and then I think they just play it once, and the
Oh,
second
wow.
time will be the finished version. He's kind of obsessed with losing that spontaneity if they
Uh-huh.
overdo it. Like,
And that's a cool thing, and I think for the studio, that's like when we did the tunes for what happens next, we weren't very rehearsed with those tunes at all. Like we even less than rehearsing for the live gigs. Like it was
mm,
like we kind of went through them enough just to kind of know the changes because we didn't know. We wanted to leave it kind of open ended for inspiration, for let the producer kind of do his thing. Um, and after having that experience with Mark Ford, I really enjoyed having that kind of experience and being so having that spontaneity and that improv, like you're making up lines in the spot, like
yeah.
you might hear something in your head, and you have to figure out what you're hearing and play it.
Yeah, you get
And
it kind of go away from the tired shapes that you play all the time
hmm
when you get put into that situation.
yeah,
It's more free. It's like you said, you're playing what's in your head, not just letting your fingers fall into the patterns they always do.
yeah, and I think for the most part, when I would write a bass line, I tried it. I mean, sometimes I would pick up a bass if Jeff wrote a song or Davey writes a song. When I'm come up with a bass line, sometimes I would noodle on my bass until I came up with something I liked. But for the most part, it was I would already kind of hear in my head
Hmm.
what I wanted to play, and then I would just have to figure it out on my bass. Like I like the bass parts to be a part.
Yeah,
Like what I love about McCartney so much is that his bass parts, in he improvises a lot too. You can tell, like, because one verse might be this and one verse might be a little bit different,
hmm.
but for the most part, he has a part, and it's very melodic, or it's very much a part of the song. It's a hook, right? Like
Yeah,
everything. I like music that's hooky,
hmm.
like not necessarily pop music, but you know, you know, good rock and roll bands are hooky, like
Yeah.
yeah, and I like my bass parts to have a hook, like whether a person, might not, they might realize it. They might go, hey, man, that bass line's really hooky, or it might just be something that subliminally hits them in their head because bass
Hmm.
isn't one of those instruments like a guitar part or a vocal part that everyone's listening to.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it could influence how someone feels or reacts to the other parts in the song.
Yeah, I was listening to some of the records, and I noticed a lot of times you don't copy the guitar riff exactly. You change one or two notes, or you dropped out a few notes, so that it
Yeah.
gave it a different kind of flavor. Like with instead of just being straight up playing note for note the guitar riff.
Yeah, I've always kind of do that too. Like, and there's some songs where you have to, like, I'm pounding the guitar riff. You're like, there's
Mm,
no other way to do this, but just hit, do what he's doing,
mm.
and back him up. But yeah, I think doing that a little. I mean, like when you listen to those old records, like Zeppelin and bands like Free and the Stones and the Beatles, like that's how their bass lines were. They weaved in and out of those guitar
Yeah,
parts, right? Like they locked in with the drums here, then they locked in with the guitar, then they played with the horns or whatever. Like it was kind of a weaving thing. And I think that listening to that kind of music so much through the years is just, you know, kind of embedded in how I approach the instrument, like I want to be a little bit different than what the guitar player's doing
yeah. When
if
I'm
I can.
learning some Geezer Butler tunes, or he's like that as well, very jammy. Like I learned the main motif, but I don't know how these guys on YouTube transcribe the songs with
Mm.
all the little things. Because when I'm writing it down, I'll be like, oh, just pentatonic, improvise in this
Yeah,
part.
exactly.
Like
Like,
I don't know how they copy all the little McCarthyisms, and because he just goes off on one sometimes, and
mhm.
he's just improvising. He's never going to play that the same again. Like
Yeah, like Jack Bruce too, right? Like
yeah,
there's videos with guys doing, Crossroads and the live version of Crossroads, and they got every bass lick down. And I'm like, I don't think Jack Bruce knows how to play that. Like
no
he
way,
did it
definitely
live
not.
and it's done. Like it's gone in the air. It's gone. Yeah,
Yeah,
like he
I
was
can't
he's
do
a
that.